That's my volume check.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance being led by Liz Biddle.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the second regular board meeting for the Village of Ballston Board of Trustees for April 2026. Time is flying, my goodness. We're going to look for Paul right now. Paul Dunkelbarger is going to be joining us via satellite. Is that what they used to say on TV? Back when in the news and all that?
Are you making the bad jokes for him?
I'm just buying him time at this point.
I can see you guys.
You can see us. We got to see you, though, technically is the rule. Carlos, shake your head yes. So show your pretty face.
Boy, I don't know. Maybe I won't be able to go.
No camera?
I don't know why. It was working before.
You might want to use your phone also as an alternate option. Just prop up your phone or something like that. We just have to be able to prove that you're there during the meeting. That nobody's got any kind of... AI.
I just like AI. Like, Carla and I are unified. Kids do.
Makes being a lawyer very difficult.
Well, in the meantime...
I'll try and get the camera on.
They can make the sound.
Sounds good. If you want to mute out in the meantime, because you technically can't participate till you get it, I think he did. He's good with that.
Participate in the conversation, you just probably vote.
Yeah, his vote's
Right. Our first pieces here don't require him to really because it's minutes. And there is no public hearing on number 3 here, so I'm not sure why we carry that over. But let's go to minutes. Can I get a motion that the minutes of the April 9, 2026 special meeting be approved?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Price-Bush.
I'll second.
Trustee Dubuque. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion that the minutes of the April 13th, 2026 regular meeting be approved?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Price-Bush.
I'll second again.
Trustee Dubuque. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion that the minutes of the April 20th, 2026 special meeting be approved?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Dubuque.
I'll second.
Trustee Price-Bush. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have no presentations. Public comment on agenda items only. 3 minutes per speaker. If you're on Zoom, we would like to speak, unless your name is Paul Dunkelbarger, then raise your hand at this time. I see Chief Crow is actually first in line here.
Real simple.
Real simple. Just give you a quick address when you get up there and roll with it.
Kevin Crow, 103 Independence Drive, Ballston Spa. Item number 3, change that from EML to Union Fire Company.
That's pretty simple.
Very simple. Very pleased.
So Union for Western Contractors LLC, 1155. Okay, I will make sure we do that as amended. Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Liz Cormos?
Liz Cormos, 89 Hyde. I was happy to see that the budget decreased approximately $55,000. And I was just wondering, this whole budget is $7.5 million. You couldn't find another $10,000, less than $10,000, and bring it under the cap? It would be a piece of cake. Why not bring it down and stay under the cap? Thank you.
Anybody else? Going once. Going twice. No sale, and we continue. Okay, can I get a motion that the consent agenda, well, does anybody want to remove anything from the consent agenda? We will make a note of the change necessary there. Hearing none. Also working on the camera, so we'll still count them out of this right now. Paul, if there's something you want to bring up, you could at this point, but we'll assume that your silence means that you are okay as is.
Yep.
Well, he's not voting.
Member of the public.
I call up people in the public from time to time. So, got to get a motion that the consent agenda be approved with the amendment to number 3 to change EML to union. That is Trustee Fontaine, sorry.
I'll second.
Trustee Price Bush, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Excuse me. Can I get a motion to approve the invoice for Stewart and Stevenson in the amount of $17,191.37 for Union Fire Truck 14-1 emergency repair services? Trustee Fontaine.
I'll second.
Trustee Price Bush, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Got to get a motion to adopt the final budget of fiscal year 2026-2027 as amended, and the amendments are the ones that are on the document called Fund A 2026-2027 Budget Change Summary for Village of Ballston Spa.
I think I would like to discuss it a little further. Should we do that?
Well, I'm going to make the motion.
I'll make the motion.
Well, I'll make the motion. You'd have to second.
You don't have to.
You actually,
Just talk about
yeah,
it.
because it's a budget, you don't need to make the motion. You can just talk about it and then go through the motion.
Well, I still would like to make the motion, so if somebody wants a second. Oh, you okay, Doug?
You
I think so.
made a motion.
You made a
so now
motion.
you can see if there's going to be a second.
I'd just like to discuss it before we even get to that. That's just my thought. I think I might as well just discuss it, because then there's nothing burning. I think.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a second. Now discussion.
Okay, well, so you did a lot of good work, and it's very much appreciated. But when I look at the tax levy comparisons, it still increases by 3.46%, so that's still over the cap. I think,
No, it doesn't. It's 2%.
yeah, is that not what the equalization rate? If I look at what on, the number,
Right. The tax rate is changing 2%, maximum 1.32% for Ballston.
but the overall levy is increasing by.
Correct, because assessed value increases also mean that we have more assessed value to handle for services, et cetera, too. That's why there's a growth factor given to us by the state. So we do exceed the tax cap by the 9,000.
Yes, okay, so I think those equalization rates, so we're still exceeding the tax cap.
By $9,000.
Okay, so I know that Paul, and I wish Paul could engage, Paul, I hope you can get a camera on you soon, had brought up that, I have to find the line, but we have enough flexibility to, brought up the sidewalk line. I know you don't want to discuss it necessarily or adjust it too much, but what line is that? I should have had that ready. Sorry, y'all. My eyes are not catching it. Sidewalks. So what we adopted was $150,000. You're proposing the $170,000. And I mean, we didn't get close, and I understand you have some objectives, but I think we have some wiggle room if that, it does go beyond what we're budgeting, we have some ability, to, what I'm suggesting is to take down sidewalks by another 10,000, so then we're under the cap. And Paul has brought that up to you.
Lovely idea. You have literally 7.5 miles of sidewalks we have to do in 11 years.
Okay, but you don't have to do it this way, it's my point. And I
Well, then what way are you going to do them?
I'm suggesting you bring it down. You had it budgeted for $150,000, or whatever, 150,000, yeah.
For the current year we're sitting in, fiscal year 25-26, we were supposed to start utilizing it this year. We didn't, to the degree we were hoping. We were trying to change the law to be able to offer a little bit more flexibility for those that can't afford it. That's why we've been holding off using the hammer basically inside the law. And once we start using the hammer, we actually have to go to every street that we're going to pave, because we've told the state with the ADA plan that we're going to pave or we're going to do sidewalks based on the paving schedule, and we'll have to throw in other sidewalks too that are emergency needs. We're doing Milton Ave, for instance, right now, and part of what we just did in the consent agenda was approve actually a new way of possibly handling some of the lesser problematic sidewalks without having to redo the whole things, which the sidewalk grinder for $3,000. And we'll be able to use that hopefully to help out the community down the line with certain ones of those. That said, we have 7.5 miles, according to that are either partially impassable or fully impassable, or may not exist, I think is inside that second category. And to do the math on it, as I said the other day to the board, is, if I can get there.
I suppose what I'm trying to say is that we have a fund balance. If we exceed $160,000, it's $10,000 different. And if it gets, I don't want us to be in the habit of constantly raising that tax.
You're going to have to, Bernadette. In the reality of whoever comes after us, you're going to have to. John Romano, the mayor who sat in this chair or the chair in Village Hall multiple years, said flat out to me about this situation, we are doing what we need to do, when it was at still the $50,000 or $64,000 situation, because he admits fully he didn't attack a lot of things that needed to be attacked and that are now falling at our feet right now in leadership. As Kevin could attest, we hadn't replaced a fire vehicle for how many years, Kevin, before this, for instance?
25, 30 years.
And we've had to basically replace, what, 4 now?
Position we're in.
Yeah, 4 to 5 will end up being probably by the time we're done talking about these things.
And we are taking care of those things. All I'm suggesting is that there's flexibility within the sidewalks. And I know you don't think there is, but I think should we exceed that, we have some fund balance that we're going to approach, but we didn't even hit that.
We are,
We budgeted for last year.
well, no, we've got $355,000 of fund balance we're using in this budget. $132,500 of funding from fund balance is of that, in that $170,000. We are only budgeting $37,500 for sidewalks this year coming up. The other $132,500 is from fund balance. It's the money we won't use this year. And instead of reissuing a tax to the residents, a double tax on the same issue, we say, okay, it went to fund balance, or we'll go into fund balance, so we're going to take it back out of fund balance. That's what the revenue line is for. So we're saying we don't have a sidewalk reserve yet, and as I said to Paul, when he was talking about me about this the other day, when we go and attack these things, change the code, get a loan pool, and get a reserve fund eventually, and it'll be a little bit more apparent. But even when you have a reserve, if you're planning on spending $170,000 for sidewalks that year, you say $170,000 for expense, folks, $170,000 for expense, and a revenue line of $170,000 to show usage of reserve. You're taking from the reserve, that's a revenue. It doesn't sound like it's a revenue, but that's the municipal accounting situation. So in this case, we're taking $132,500 from fund balance, and that is the revenue line that is appropriated fund balance A0914. That number is at $355,000 because that includes the generator that we haven't done yet, the front street repairs that we haven't done yet, and $132,500 for sidewalks. We are only putting in another $37,500 this coming year for sidewalks. And realistically, I think that's still too low based on what I know we have in front of us, but we will get there eventually over the next years, hopefully. And there are things I'll talk about later on in the mayor's report about the future once we get past this step of things. But yes.
Are you open to bringing 10 down somewhere else?
No, I'm not. I went through every line this weekend. Nobody else seemed to do that. And I took $55,250 out of the taxes and put us at 2%.
I'd really like our other colleagues on the line, please, to be able to comment.
He's trying.
He's trying. If he's
I can try to let PD
Yeah.
in if that's who we think that is.
That's probably who it is.
He said he doesn't have his phone, his camera's
He doesn't know if his phone
working. He doesn't know if his camera's working.
There's a button.
Yes, sir.
Well, no, I'm saying, has he found the button?
That I'm on my phone, can't tell.
Currently, it's not, so.
We either have the police department or Paul Dunkelbar.
No, it is him. It is him.
Police department's in back.
I'm PD on the meeting, I believe.
You are. Camera's still off, though.
Do you have a button for it?
I do not see a button for a camera anywhere in this.
It's on your phone? If you,
Yes.
I think you have to hit it, it'll come up with a, what do you call it? A button. Super technical term.
Nah.
Well, the
My phone
fact
is-
remains, while you try to pull it out, I'll continue to buy you some time here. The fact remains that we have $12.5 million of things to do and $5.5 million to do it. And I kept the amount of reserve for capital projects at $64,000 as was expected. We are in fact operationally operating, I believe, at almost 0% growth this year. The entirety of this gain of taxes remains.
I don't know
Excuse
why
me.
you sign.
Yeah,
Yeah, Liz, we
Ma'am?
don't have that. Sorry, we're just having a discussion.
operationally, we are still at 0% growth this year, basically, give or take, because the entirety of the gain is going toward capital projects. And that specifically, in this case, relates.
Well,
Doesn't sound like it.
So Frank, I appreciate all the work you did on this, bringing this down quite a bit. We are so close. I know that there's no flexibility to bring that down completely. Is there anything else we can cut, even 1,000? Any compromise? Like,
Charlene, I
okay.
compromised with
No, you did.
$55,000.
That's why I'm saying kudos. Like, you worked really hard. Everybody was excited to see that this weekend, so thank you. I'm just wondering, before we finalize this tonight, is there anything more we can do?
As I stated to the board, I went through every line for a week to reach this level. And thanks to Kevin, again, he worked with me on the fire lines with respect to what there was in terms of the facade and the roof as well. And so we kept them in, obviously, but we reduced them. We are obligated to give $110,250 no matter what to the fire department. We're still at $115,000 because that's what seems like the safe number based on what we had from 2 years ago for an estimate for the facade and some of the stuff we do know about the roof situation at EML. It's not a full replacement, it's repairs, but it's pretty extensive what they're going to need to do. They've started doing a little bit of it, but then not nearly all of that. So either way, that would be no more than about $4,750 higher low on that. So,
Sorry, is he, there's like a guest that can speak, but then also like a person who's part of the presentation. I forget what it's called on Zoom. Is he? Promotion. Panelist, yeah, that's probably what the issue is.
Oh, yeah. What you usually do for me.
yeah. Which one did you put them?
I'll try your laptop. I think the trusty Dunkelbarger is your laptop or the computer. See if you can turn on the camera now.
Where does he live?
Yeah, we're in the Outer Banks right now.
Oh.
There you go.
Well, that's not the other one.
No,
Outer Banks. Paul from the Adirondack/Outer Banks.
Right. Paul, you're no longer embargoed, you can talk.
It appears that what I wanted to do is impossible. I thought that the 32.5 we could reduce, that he's budgeting for this year, reduce that sum by 10 to get us under the cap, but it appears that that's not the case.
I think it's possible, I just think.
Yeah. I don't know if there's wiggle room for us to do that. We're going to run into this problem every year, I believe, if we go after the sidewalks with the plans that we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, we literally have millions of dollars of sidewalks to do in the next 11 years. And my question becomes even, how do we replenish? If we use 130,000, 140,000 in a given year, how do we replenish it? We'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it. But that's ultimately the problem that I see, and what I was explaining to Paul this weekend, especially because he brought it to me. And I think one of the things, Paul, which is strange, like I said to you, is the municipal accounting principle, the 132.5 on both sides. And then just the fact is the real fresh budgeting for this is $37,500. The other money we're just bringing back up from the fund balance to basically say we're accounting for this for sidewalk purposes. And then eventually we'll get to a point where we create a capital reserve for sidewalks, a reserve fund for sidewalks, and be able to say, okay, we have this money over here for sidewalks. We don't have to keep reissuing it every year when we get to that point. So we've got three things we've got to do in the near term with respect to sidewalks. But the long story short is that the village is trying to practice what it preaches too right now with what we've been doing on Route 50 to show everybody, okay, we're going to go out and tell you to go do your sidewalks. We're going to go fix sidewalks that we should be responsible for because of damage that was done by something you didn't cause, property owner. The state caused it in this case, but it falls onto us because of the trees. And that's the general principle of whenever it's a street tree that causes it, we step in basically because it's our tree that caused the heave or the problem in those situations. We try to, force people to prove that before we go and do it, but quite often it's pretty self-evident what caused a heave in that situation. So we're telling the village soon, yeah, you're going to go do your sidewalk because it's damaged right now. But here's the good news. You get up to $4,500 reimbursement for the first 50% of it. And then you have a loan pool you can participate in at a fair interest rate for 10 years for the rest of it. We'll put it on your taxes, those payments each year, so that you don't have to cough up $4,000 all it wants to do a sidewalk. And that's the principle here, that when we have a hammer we're going to use, we better use it in a way that says you have good, sound fiscal options that don't challenge your ability to afford these sidewalks all at once. And that's the thing I think that prevents a lot of people from wanting to do it. I don't think people want to have bad sidewalks in front of their houses. I just don't think that they have the funds all the time to just plop out $5,000, $6,000. We made it 50% instead of $250 a square foot, I think was the old number, which is much better than it was, but it's still not enough. And that's what we have to be aware of down the line. Paul, anything else before the waves come in and take you out? And
No,
else?
I didn't see any other line item in the budget that I really thought we could accomplish a $10,000 cut in. That was the only one, and it's not feasible.
Okay. Should I call for a vote? Any other?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I will call for a vote. Now, Paul is eligible to vote because he is on video at this point. You want to do a roll call?
No, I think that a slight more effort, not that I don't appreciate the effort that was made on the other items that you did cut. Please understand that is appreciated. I do think we could have figured out here and there how to get to that number to get us under the cap. And I really encourage ourselves to be, next go around to try to pull ourselves in a little bit. Not discounting that there are things that we need to accomplish, but I think we can be a little bit more just reined in. It was such a small number to get to get us back under. Please understand, I already talked to Kevin. My no vote today is not that I don't support our fire department or any of our departments. I think they do great work. But I hope going forward we can really look at this collaboratively. And I know you did a lot of effort. It's not that you don't take comments from us, but I really think we could have gotten there. So, but no, that's my vote. If you could include my comments as part of my vote as well, that'd be great. Thank you, Rebecca.
Yes.
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 Yes, I'll speak more to it in the mayor's comments later on about just overall thoughts on the future. Okay, having passed that by 4-1 vote to be official, I kind of get a motion that water and sewer rates for both in-village and out-of-village users will be increased by 4.5% starting in water period 2027-1. 3.25% of this is attributed to inflation. 1.25% of this is to be placed in water tower reserve in addition to the prior excess increases previously approved. This is consistent with the amounts anticipated in the proposed final budget of fiscal year 2026-2027, with the increases less than originally forecast as the village works toward getting Milltown Center water users online as new customers and additional revenue come online within the next 2 years, I should say.
Make the motion.
Trustee Price Bush.
I'll second.
Trustee Dubuque, discussion. I think we were actually aiming more in the 6% range, so this is definitely coming back a little bit. One of the things we saw over the last couple months as we were talking about the future of our water department because of the large number of connections we're going to be adding in relation to the entirety of the system, it's about 30%, 25 to 30% more. And we have to begin thinking to maybe with some of the fees that are associated for reads and whatnot to tailor those to inflation too at some point because they've sat at certain levels for years, and maybe even reassess some of the more onerous ones and look at how we get ourselves set up too for the meters being replaced for ready read meters that might make the jobs a little bit easier for both the customers and the village itself. We have an upcoming motion for the income surveys that will help us get to that point a little bit more down the line. So we are looking at that, but long story short is we've got some real chances of revenue down the line, so that's why I'm saying don't press it to 6% this year, but we can't really do anything with that until we see the first new users come online and see how many it is at first, because they may phase the building of Milltown Center, for instance, and I don't know how many users that means ultimately. It's probably around 100 to 150, and that's money, but it also means that we have to spend some more money too in the process. And you'll see a motion coming up where we're going to front some money for the work that has to be done in Water District 3 that will benefit them. They'll pay us back for it, but over X number of years, most likely. So we're in a good spot, but compared to where we thought we'd be right now, but we're not in a perfect spot yet for water. Anybody want to give any further discussion or thought on that? Seeing none, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No, I'm sorry, I'm opposed.
Okay, we'll go for 3-1 on that as mayor doesn't vote on voice votes. Approved. Can I get a motion approving the attached income survey services agreement between the Village of Ballston Spa and G&G Municipal Consulting and Grant Writing, and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement? Note the final version was actually provided in time by the end of business Friday inside of our attachments. Apologies for not getting to correct that in time, but we did have that. I believe it was $19,900 for that one. So thanks to Jake Grasso for that. Can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Fondainza.
I'll second.
Trustee Price Bush, discussion.
It's needed.
All in favor?
Helpful.
Oops, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion approving the contract change order number 1 for Trinity Construction Incorporated's Milton WD3 improvement project for the required system controls and related ancillary work for $81,097.85. This is for Smith Controls and CKM Electrical Services SCADA work. I'm just going to put a note in here just before motion, just to say that there was a contingency sort of built in for this, and I think it was $87,500 from Labella. So technically, we're inside that, but we still have to approve a change order like this. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
Trustee Fondanza,
I'll second.
Trustee Price Bush, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Opposed? I got to get used to that.
Billy kills it.
Sorry, Paul. Opposed? Motion carries. I think that's it. Nothing else?
I don't have a motion.
Okay, mayor's announcements. First off, just wanted to congratulate Union Fire Company number 2 on their 125 years of service in this community. Bernadette and I got to celebrate with them on Saturday night at the Excelsior in Saratoga. They took it off-site this year for a special event, obviously, with 125 years, and did a phenomenal job, as they always do. But, you know, it's a special number there at 125, and a special job that they do, all of our fire services do here in the Village of Ballston Spa. So hats off to Union Fire Company number 2. And thanks again for everything in terms of not just the invitation, but again, all you do for us. I do want to address the future generally here, because as much as, you know, taking numbers down to 2% and everything else for at least the tax rate, was something I was happy to do once we went through every line painstakingly. And again, thanks to Paul for flagging a couple things that I worked with Kevin on, et cetera. And it's a team effort in that type of situation. We do have to be very, very mindful moving forward. And I go to the example that's the example of examples in our localities here. Scotia proved to a lot of people what happens with planning issues and some of the traps that can occur in municipal government, budgeting, et cetera. They ended up shaving down their tax increase down to around 6.6% or thereabouts, but that's mainly because they took their trash services fee and made it into a separate user fee. So that came off the tax increase portion of the books and made their tax increase look a little bit more respectable. What you notice in their budget is that about $13.7 million is their budget, so nearly double our budget here for a community that's about 50% larger than us. But their amount of payroll and benefits related to payroll, so the medical benefits, the retirement benefits, et cetera, out of that $13.7 million, it's $9 million for that stuff. And that is going to be something that absolutely is going to haunt them for a while. There's just no way out of that situation, because unions are not going to release them from their agreements as long as they're solvent, and things are not going to get any easier for them there. And so things we have to be very careful of in the village ultimately is understanding the effects of benefits for full-time employees and how that could follow you for retirement purposes later on. It's great to have 20-year employees, or if we come up with a ladder-based system down the line, something in consideration for our police contract. You've got to be cognizant of what it does to the overall calculus to municipalities like ours. If Fix the 6 becomes a reality and the state doesn't pick up the bill for Fix the 6, which is Tier 6 public employees, it becomes a real issue for all small municipalities, because we all have Tier 6 employees on our payrolls. And that means that every year, the obligation for retirement benefits will go through the roof. Right? What they're trying to do is recreate Tier 6 into Tier 4, which had a lot more obligation to the municipalities. And so that means that basically your Tier 6s become Tier 4s in terms of what the costs will be to the municipalities. That could be a profound problem for a small community like ours. And again, unfunded mandate. What do you do? Over the last couple of years, as Melissa can attest, they've offered the option for amortization of increases when the increases are too fast. And we took them up on that on one side of the retirement benefits, because I think it was I want to say the fire side of it, the fire and fire and police, I should say, rather, side of it, was going up very fast. It was one of the two. And it just made more sense in a year like this to take the amortization, but we'll be paying for that over 10 years in that situation with a reasonable interest rate to the state. But that's kind of how they're beginning to understand what these effects are to us, is they're giving these options that didn't exist before, that I saw at least, to sort of parlay it over a good number of years. These are obligations down the line, and you don't shed these obligations. They only grow on you, ultimately. So be aware of that. And I say this because who knows who's going to be a leader here in the village for years to come. Go back to this discussion or to these comments to understand what I've learned in 4 years and what we've learned in our Treasury Department over these 4 years about the pros and the cons, or the things to really worry about. And that's why when we were looking at staffing up in building department versus upstairs, for deputy treasurer, deputy clerk positions, why we didn't want to add another benefits position or full-time position in the totality of it, because again, it could be up to $20,000 extra just for the health benefits, let alone the retirement benefits going into that situation. It's very, very tough down the line, and then knowing you've got to spend $4.5 to $5 million on DPW's building or buildings, and more on that in a second, and then on top of that, all the other things, trying to get 66 Front Street into a good position and everything else. The things I'm going to tell everybody to think about down the line, because whenever you have expenses plaguing you, you need to talk about revenues, and where do you find the revenues? There's two things that could affect our sales tax number, which is, I believe, the second largest revenue source we have in this village. Right now, we have it down at $1.445 million for next year. That is either development to build up our assessed value, because the county bases our sales tax on assessed value ratio. So if, let's say, the tannery project does go forward in some form or another, that will likely build the assessed value over there. That helps our sales tax number alone right there. Or Saratoga County is a 7% sales tax county, one of only 3 remaining, I believe, in this zone. And there's talk, obviously, to either go to 7.5% or 8% possibly at some point. If the village goes, in the county goes, I should say, to 8%, that change alone would mean for the village about $480,000 a year in revenue from sales tax. $480,000 is nearly double what we would need for the DPW debt payments we've been talking about along the way. And that's something that, you hate to see the county have to do it, but we aren't the only municipality looking at the sales tax numbers saying we need to sort of be at an equal footing down the line in that situation. So that's one big thing right there. And obviously, property tax offsets, if that does get developed, if someday Maplewood Manor gets developed, things like that, we are limited in where our development will occur. And so while we sort of stay stable here, you've got the towns around us building their assessed value, and that throws our ratio down and down and down. And so the only way we keep up for at least the short term is those blight sites becoming developed at some point in time. So we've got to hope that happens at some point with what the community wants to see ultimately. Sure, I get that, but we need to stay ahead of the curve as a village if we want to stay at one of the best values in tax rate you've got, because to have a fire service like we have, Scotia pays $1.5 million of payroll alone, not including the benefits, to their fire department. We pay $5,000 for records keeping and stuff like that, maybe total. It's nothing, and you'd be worth $1.5 million, if not more, as a fire department. It's just we don't have the resources to do it, but understand the value we place in all of you, and in reality, that's a great value to the village, what we pay for it ultimately in our taxes. A police department that we turn to all the time, and people disrespect them for law enforcement reasons, I guess, and everything else, but they are phenomenal at what they do here and how they know so many people in our village. Our part-time and full-time officers go out and try to get to know the folks that live here. And that makes it special to a lot of folks. They know these guys on first name basis, and that's great. And, you know, again, I look at what others pay for that service versus us, and I get it that, you know, we're in a contract situation with them, and I wish I could give a lot more. I wish I could, but you can see the fight that occurs even on little things here. Our DPW, special group here, and the fact that they come to work in that building where you can tell if it's raining inside right now tells you everything you need to know about them. But the work they do, and they don't question us on when we say, hey, go replace those sidewalks or go take that tree down or something like that. And they say, okay, what day? They don't question it even. Thank you to them on what they do. But again, a great value to this village. What you pay for water and sewer for that matter is crazy cheap comparatively because that's part of the bargain. You pay $6 in taxes per thousand, you get a great discount on water. You pay 1/3 of what market rate is, give or take, on that. And, you know, again, great value here in this village. So when you look around and you do pay your taxes in June, you might hate seeing that tax bill. You may question us, a lot of you do, to say, what do I get for my taxes here in the village? And you learn over these 4 years I've been mayor, you get a lot. And if you need to really validate that, go to other villages around us to really understand just what you do get, compare your costs in those situations, and understand that we are protective of our budget for a reason, but we also have to be honest with ourselves to understand there are risks down the line, and when you have 12 million plus to spend on things or things to do and $5.5 million to spend on them, you're going to need to find the money somewhere. Just don't know where exactly right now. There are possibilities, but we have to be very, very careful about it down the line. And that's my message to the community after a spirited budget season here that we've had, and I appreciate everybody's patience and participation in it along the line. Let's go to, was there a treasurer's report? I'm going to dig that out while we go to liaison reports then, and Bernadette.
All right, so Business Association, you had heard me mention last time that Barn had their ribbon cutting this last Friday. There was ribbon cutting for the Ballston National Bank. They have renovated their original their main office on Front Street. Thank you to Paul Munkelbarger and Sharon DeBuke for going and showing support. It's nice, you know, basically, when you think about our local bank, they're the bank that has helped people, you know, secure funding for their first-time homes, for their businesses. So we really appreciate that they're still downtown, and it's kind of cool if you ever get a chance. They have the space for the original bank vault. You can look at it. There's some historical stuff in the side room. So I want to congratulate them. There's a networking breakfast coming up on May 5th from 8 to 9:30. That's going to be at Sterling Real Estate. I think that's just outside the village on Route 50. And just coming down the pike, I know she submitted it, but this the agenda. They're going to be requesting all their event sort of approvals as far as like concerts and everything that's coming. So that'll be for the next meeting. And then just the BOA, I just want to let folks know that the Revitalized Ballston Spa plan has been submitted to the Department of State today. And generally it's pretty just factory. At some point we'll get approved, and it'll open up the village and any potentially interested folks to some tax credits if they work on projects that are, you know, within the zone of the BOA study area. So very thankful for that. Thank you to Norabelle and the team, and also our committee. They were fantastic and worked really well together, and so it's good to see that forward. That's all that.
Mary.
I just have two things on the library. They're going to be hosting a craft and unwind tomorrow night, 6 p.m. until 7:30, you can design your own button or decorate a book or journal with gems. You can bring your own book or you can get a donated one from the library. The treats will be served and registration is required. So you can stop in to reserve your spot or call the library at 518-885-5022. And Thursday, April 30th, we're going to have an evening of jazz and raffle with friends. And this is the Friends of the Library baskets that we've been taking the donations for. The drawing is going to be at the end of the night. It's being held at the Ballston spot on Hamilton Street from 6:30 until 8:30. There will be complimentary light fare and refreshments as well as a cash bar.
Make mine a double.
We've got the double?
Make mine a double.
And unfortunately, my committee has a bit of a conflict with yours. The Committee on the Arts will wrap up Poetry Month this Thursday, April 30th at 6 p.m. with an open mic night at Back Barn. So check it out. Maybe you can hit both events off.
It's possible.
You don't have to choose.
Right around the corner from each other.
Distance.
Yep.
Exactly. Especially if you're at Back Barn, you should walk.
And the notes.
Yes, and maybe walk home from there. And Caitlin sent me a nice report. The Park and Tree Board would like to thank everyone who joined us at our annual Arbor Day tree planting this past Saturday. Whether you were there to learn about proper tree planting and pruning, or if you helped dig and plant, or were there to be part of the memorial tree dedication, we appreciate all who took the time to join us. We are proud to be in our 6th year of being a tree city as designated by the Arbor Day Foundation. A special thank you to our own Park and Tree member, Christopher Williams, for showing up early to dig the big hole and for teaching us all about planting, pruning, and caring for new trees. We also want to thank the Cornell Cooperative Extension of Saratoga County Master Forest Owner Program for providing the tree. We are so pleased by the success of the event to add trees to the village that will be enjoyed for generations, and again, are so thankful for all who came out to celebrate Arbor Day with us. The Park and Tree Board also wants to assure everyone that work is being done to plant new trees along Milton Avenue, where several were recently taken down. Some of the trees needed to be removed for the sake of making the sidewalks safer. Also, a group of ash trees were in decline because of being infested by ash borers, which result in a brittle tree whose limbs could easily fall and cause damage to individuals or property. The Park and Tree Board has teamed up with DPW to pick spaces for new trees and are working on sourcing the right tree for each individual location. Also, a reminder that spring and fall are the best times to plant new trees. If you have been thinking about planting trees in your yard or your right-of-way space, please reach out and let us help you pick the best tree for your ideal planting location. Based on the pH of village soil, we have made a list of recommended trees to help ensure the survival rates of these new trees.
And for those wondering what happens when we take those trees down on Route 50, not we, but the DPW does, or are the folks that help them with that, we basically shave down the stump as much as we can to below surface and then put sidewalk panel on top of that, because you can't plant on top of the fact of that still remaining partial stump under the ground. Then they'll open up another square next to it essentially to allow the planting to occur of the new tree. And we won't get to probably plant every tree intended this year. We'll get some of them in because some won't be ready until the fall anyway, from what I understand. But we try to do this for DPW in the spring because we kind of know their schedule is going to amp up as we continue through the spring to the summer and paving season starts and everything else. So that's why we split this into kind of 3 years of doing this the way we've done it. And I think people have been pretty overall happy about the appearance of that sidewalk situation where it got done last year. And we're going to shave down those areas, like we said, that are not horrible heaves, but there are plenty of 1.5 plus inch heaves that you can't shave because you basically break the panel in two by putting weight on it if you over shave those. So we're going to be doing a combination of that for these panels. And then if next year we see any of them have broken, we can always go back and replace panels when we're trying to finish the job next year on the other side of the street. So that's the game plan on that. Paul, I doubt that was in your report, so I don't think I stole your thunder, but if you've got anything from DPW, go for it.
DPW replaced 280 feet of storm pipe on Chesterwood Court last week to alleviate a very poor drainage along the street there. They started picking up brush. They're 3/4 of the way through the first pass, and they will continue to do that until May 15th. Then they'll have to be in bags only. And then just to let everyone know, they're going to start flushing the hydrants in the water system on May 4th. So if you have a hydrant in your yard, you'll probably see a big puddle outside your house for the sometime that next week. And in addition to all the other usual stuff that they have to take care of.
It's also possible that it could stir up darkness in water. If that happens, or off-color water, make sure you run that water until you notice it dissipates. It's not infrequent for that to happen because of what happens with hydrant flushing, so we get calls about that all the time. Let your friends and neighbors know if they see that, just run the water and it will dissipate. If it doesn't dissipate, then probably call us and we'll see what's going on with that. Treasurer's report going back. There's a recap of tentative budget. That's kind of moot now. Water and sewer, our office is starting the preparation for the printing and sorting of the meter cards that will be sent to residents by June 1st. Please contact the village office if you'd like to receive your bill via email. Also, Melissa's working with Bob to re-levy past due water and sewer accounts for those who receive this service who are inside the village users. This year, the deadline for any water sewer bills for inside users will be accepted at the village office until the end of April, which is in 3 days, folks. If those inside the village customers have not paid, we will re-levy their balances, including penalties, onto the village tax bill. Also, sales tax, the April numbers were up a very healthy 16.44% for the county, April to April, basically, in terms of this April versus last April. I'm going to gander a guess that because that probably takes part of February into consideration, that might have to do with gas prices and the sales tax that goes to gas. And so I'll warn everybody that there is discussion of going for a gas tax holiday, either countywide or statewide somehow, if things stay as high as they are. If that happens, that could definitely mute some of the sales tax gains municipalities like ours see. So that's a very unusual gain for an April period, that's for sure, which is actually February period in reality. Year to date, up 11.67%. Much of that gain is causing that. And the village received $120,664 on April 22nd, 2026. Old business. Let's talk zoning real quick. You gave me a look there, like I said something wrong.
I didn't know something you were going to go for.
But that's zoning, and so a reminder to everybody that in 3 days is the deadline for zoning comments for the zoning code. At that point, we should discuss briefly amongst ourselves here, what are we going to do? Are we going to be prepared in the next meeting in 2 weeks to maybe start discussing what goes into the final draft? How do we want to really attack this next stage? Because I would love to see this done and approved by July or the end of July, if possible. I don't think it's impossible necessarily, but it's going to take some work for sure to get there at this point. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to, kind of what I was going to mention later, some enforcement stuff, we really need to get in place. Some folks have raised some concerns about certain things that have been happening with everything from garbage cans to how things are covered up in their business district. But yeah, I'd like to get it wrapped up. I don't know how what the comments will be compared to where it is now. So,
do we want to do a special meeting maybe in the first week of May to just sort of sort out what we've received, what we've got, and then assign maybe each other for the next week what we do leading up to the first official meeting of May, or something like that? Is that a thought here possible for everybody? I don't know what your schedules are. I know it's getting
May 4th.
May the 4th be with you.
If you I think I can make that work.
Would that work for Paul, Charlene, Mary?
It does.
Works
So
for
why
me.
don't we try to do 6:30 or 7? 7? That's fine. I don't see it being a long meeting necessarily. I think we just take inventory of what we have at that point and figure out how we want to sort of split it up amongst ourselves. I think it was originally your idea back when.
It was. I'm glad you picked this Monday, because that's the only day I can come next week. Yeah, I had sent you all an email, and I apologize, it was probably after you guys, while you were on your way here, to talk about this, that I do think what we do is, once everything comes in, I'm going to ask Jen if it's okay to send whatever comments we have that you've received any, to the board. And then we can send again the planning board comments that we received and have the board review that. That way on Monday, they can be prepped to talk about what might change, what might not change, so that we can work on that. And maybe at the following meeting, say, okay, this is our final, and we can move it towards the county.
I think it's a good time between now and the next, get together. If you have something specific like enforcement, for instance, maybe go through what's in there currently and come up with your own ideas about where we need to sharpen it. Doesn't mean you need to make the language yourself. We've got Carla, we've got Chris for that purpose still.
Do we want Chris at that meeting, or the meeting the 11th?
Probably the 11th more. We'll have the recording to give to him probably and go from there. And if in the meantime he hears something that seems off, he can email us his thoughts on it. We can ask him to watch it. See, who knows if we can watch it live or not. I don't know. But
I will send him the comments as well.
Yep. Any other thoughts from any other board members on that before we move on? Want to, new business, read a letter that we received today, and perhaps make a motion to accept it, because there was when I got over there earlier, there was a signed letter, so we have received it as requested. Mayor Rossi, I began my village career almost 20 years ago when then Mayor Romano asked me if I'd come to a village board meeting to support him. I went and soon found myself appointed to the Village Board of Assessment, now defunct, the Parking Advisory Committee, then a Planning Board alternate, soon to become a member. On the sudden passing of Dave Beals, I was named the Planning Board Chair. It has been an honor and privilege to serve the village residents all these years. Planning is a critical portion of village government, for it is responsible for the details, the subtleties, the visual impact, the very essence of what makes these spots so unique. It also must address the need for growth, for as a landlocked village, we have nowhere to grow and increase tax revenues except through development. I swear I didn't take that from there. It is here where the true challenge arises and the, quote, village of friends becomes radically divided. Lincoln said, quote, a house divided against itself cannot stand, and so our village sits on the precipice of its greatest challenge, reconciling need for growth with those who simply do not want it in any fashion. It is the planning board upon whose shoulders this burden falls, and I assure you, your board has the people and expertise to navigate these troubled waters ahead. Will everyone agree or be happy as development happens? Of course not. However, as it inevitably comes before us, I would humbly suggest Mr. Lincoln was right, and we all, no matter what side you may be on, must strive to mend the huge schism that exists and is played out here every day with vitriol, hatred, foils, and Facebook wars. It is an embarrassment to every citizen and you as our government to allow this nonsense to continue. It must stop. We must work together to set aside our petty differences for the good of all by communicating, talking to each other, rather than trying in vain to govern by social media. My commitment to the village and its future will sadly come to an end effective June 1st, 2026, when I will be retiring. My desire is now to use the days I may have left to retire with my wife and dogs to try and do that which I never considered, relax and maybe have some fun. This has not been an easy choice, I assure you all, but it is the right one for me, and I believe the village will continue to prosper. To do so, we need younger people to step up, to get involved, and help us grow, increase revenues, and cut our taxes. I want to especially thank my board members, past and present, and Kathy Barner, who has helped me keep things organized since the day she took over as building clerk, She is exceptional. The unfortunate and unexpected loss of Mike McNamara and Matt Erkline this past year was difficult. However, the addition of Chris Farrell and Sean Hinckley will, I'm sure, prove to be a positive going forward. Mike Morrissey as well will bring strong perspective and knowledge to the board. I feel I leave it in capable hands. Scott Burlingame has been named vice chair at our last meeting. Since then, we have spoken, and he has agreed to, if appointed, become the next chair. I fully support Scott and trust the mayor, and you will affirm this appointment. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to serve. Best, Rory O'Connor. So first off, thank you to Rory. Rory has been a steady hand through thick and thin with a lot of the things that we encounter and that his board encounters. And I know, Paul, you served with him. If you want to give any thoughts about Rory at this point, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Roy for his exemplary service to the village. I went through the planning board process in approximately 1990 when I built a new home in the village. And the process that he has promoted has become much more consistent and respectful of developers as well as residents as they look to get projects completed. So I really appreciate what he's done for the board.
Any other thoughts before I make the next move I have to make here?
Sad flew him, but very happy that they can enjoy life. And, we get it.
Yeah, we all get it.
Thankful for their service.
Yeah. I appreciate everything Rory has done for the village, and just a different viewpoint. I understand his viewpoints, I respect his viewpoints, but he always has a different way to look at things that a lot of times I never thought looked that way. So I appreciate for him being open-minded and helping other people be a little more open-minded about what can occur in this village.
And I agree with everything everyone else said, but I'll also add that we all know he's going to get involved down there in his town. So this isn't over for him as far as civic engagement.
I've already got the recommendation written for when somebody calls up to say, hey, is this guy worth it? Yeah, he is. Our loss, your gain.
Right.
Can I get a motion to accept the resignation of the retirement of Roy O'Connor effective June 1st, 2026 as the chairman and member of the Village of Ballston Spa Planning Board? Trustee Fondanza with regrets.
I'll begrudgingly second.
A begrudging second by Trustee Dunkelbarger. Discussion, technically spontaneous motion, 90 seconds if anybody wants to speak. Everybody's sad, I can see in the audience, so I'll just pass that on and say all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there any consideration to naming an official chair at this point, or do you want to hold off on it? It's up to you guys on that one. Yeah. For now, he can be acting chair since he's vice chair, so we'll go there.
This isn't effective till June 1st,
Yep.
so there's no problem.
Or at that point, yep, at the second meeting from now, probably. Okay. Last new business that is not on here, but we talked about very late in this process. The village has received a permit application for a special event for the Auditorium Carnival. A man named Jeff Mock had put this in, and this carnival permit application was on the simple special events permit that we have, and indicated that it was for 8,000 potential participants at the fairgrounds on Belmont weekend. And also, we have not received an insurance policy yet, although we have in the past, done the whole question of making things contingent on that. But what we have flagged in this situation so far is, look, if you're at 8,000, we are not the entity that's going to ultimately decide whether or not you need a mass gathering permit, which is for greater than 5,000 people in a given time in an event. That is the county DOH, I believe, that has taken that over from the state, actually. And so we have tried to direct him to put a mass gathering permit together, perhaps, or ultimately go to the county and get the county to say you don't have to do it. One of the things he did tell us in correspondence is that he's received possibly 20,000 RSVPs via Facebook. Whether or not that transpires, I was just going to say, whether or not that transpires is a whole nother question. What we don't have when we have that size of an event, we usually look for a safety plan and traffic plan, and a safety plan that is communicated to our police department ultimately. We do not have that here. That's usually with the mass gathering permit. would require you to start doing, because that's what the county will want to see as well, make sure that not just the people at the event, but the people around the event are going to be okay. And I think we all know in that zone, it's residential, not many roads. You know, they go through the fair. Obviously, the fair, you know, tested and tried and true what they try to do to keep circulation going. Another event needs to go through the same motions at the end of the day, and we have not seen that at this time. I'm going to hand over to Carla to talk about just general options here for the village and the board and the clerk and everything else, and then maybe get your thoughts about where to go with this ultimately, because we have received correspondence sort of pressing us to act or do something here, but let's let Carla give us our thoughts here.
Okay, thank you. So under the mass gathering permit, that is county DOH. That is nothing that the village can do. That's the county's purview. Under the village law, there's a whole code about amusements, and it talks about all of this. The village code allows the village clerk to ask for any and all other documents that may seem appropriate, gives authority to make sure that public health, safety, and welfare is taken into account, things of that nature. So one of the things that could happen, even if the individual took back the permit and put a new one in saying it's less, we could still require the same thing. So we could still require the safety plan. We could still require a parking plan. We could still require the traffic plan.
Yep.
We absolutely have to require insurance, things of that nature. So that's something that could happen. At this point, it really is up to the applicant to reach out to the county and say, I said 8,000, I didn't mean 8,000, so I don't think this is a mass gathering. What do you think? And hear back from what the county has to say. At this point, there's really not much more for the village to do. I do know that he has sent correspondence. I emailed them to you guys later this afternoon. He is promoting it. He has vendors. We've asked him to stop promoting it about a month or so ago, or 2 months ago. We told him not to stop promoting it, that he's not allowed to promote it because he doesn't have a permit. As of today, he's still promoting it. So, but at this point, really, it's up to him to do anything.
So my thought here, and I would like to at least have a straw poll here to give some guidance to Rebecca, since we don't meet again for a week, and things will amp up if he wants to pursue it, or maybe he doesn't. We'll see what he chooses to do with it. But the thought here is to, as Carla suggested, direct them to the county DOH to make the determination on whether or not a mass gathering permit will be necessary. However, regardless of whether it is or isn't, still indicate, if the clerk so decides, because it is under her purview to do this, to seek a safety plan with consultation of our police chief, and a traffic plan also with the police chief and our fire chief as well, to understand the EMS problems that could come up with this situation. Would that be fair proposal, plus insurance to be provided immediately?
Nothing irritates me more is when these groups start promoting before they even got approval from us. This happened a couple times, and it's not good for them, it's not good for us, and it really puts pressure on us to make a decision. I think it's absolutely necessary that we have those things in order. 80,000, whether he retracts that or not.
8,000, yeah.
8,000, not 80,000.
20,000.
That's the fair.
But I'm sorry, I'm not going to retract. You can't hold that back. He told us that. We have an obligation to ensure that this community is safe and that it's not going to create havoc. So I think it would behoove them to, cooperatively give us this information. So, if they're really serious, if they're a serious promoter, already seeking out vendors and RSVPs, this should have been figured out well before that.
We gave Paul the chills. He's had to put a jacket on, or a sweatshirt on, I think.
It's freezing down here.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
But I hope not anybody's going to necessarily listen to this particular recording, but I wish people that are looking to do events within the village really work with us cooperatively. This is particularly, I don't know.
Can I say one thing?
Sorry.
I want to add one thing here, a little off script here per se. The job that Rebecca's had to do in terms of the things that have come at her in the 4 months almost now, the job, we talked about some of them on Facebook, but even this stuff, because I've seen the emails she's had to face, as Carla has, from this situation alone, and it's daunting to take a clerk position and suddenly all these things start coming at you, left, right, and center. And she's handling them very well. She's there after hours quite often. I just want to thank her for the job she's doing as our clerk right now. So thank you to Rebecca.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Any other thoughts? Go ahead.
How many people on a given day attend the fair?
I want to say it averages out to about 12,000, but throughout a day, basically. And it depends on which day of the week we're talking to. I don't think they reach 100,000 in total, but it's obviously a huge number that go through. I don't know if the Biddles have any idea from living up there if they've heard numbers.
They're going to say a lot.
Saturday are close to 15, 20,
Yeah.
as far as I remember.
Yep.
But for the rest of the days,
But also fairly predictable. They
Yeah.
kind of have an idea of who's coming to the fair.
And Jen Flinton and company up there have it.
Really cooperative.
Yeah, and they work with our police department, they work with our fire department to make sure that they've got the T's crossed and I's dotted. Is it perfect every time? No, but they try and they put a lot of investment into managing that situation. So
Now, do the residents have any say on whether this takes place or not?
if we ever get to a vote on a permit, sure, they would have the say as normal, public comment session or to write us or something like that. So we'll happily take those comments in weighing it. The thing that I will say is ultimately we have to treat any event application in an equal, content-free approach. If there are certain dangers or concerns, obviously we are allowed to say no based on those concerns, but those concerns can't be based on content type of situations, if that makes sense.
Right. Would you be able to cap it, his entrance at what he says this is the max it's going to be?
It's possible if he were to sell tickets in that manner, I guess, to do something like that, but he would have to, that's his prerogative. We can't tell him how to do his business here.
Yeah, I just didn't know if that was, maximum occupancy type.
Yeah.
We would more rely on the fairgrounds to tell us if that there was some, ability to do that or need to do that in that respect. But I think the concern is generally how are they getting there, how are they getting out of there, and what's the safety plan regarding all that too, for that matter. So, Charlene?
No, I agree. I think going to the county and then in the very least, we need to have a plan for ourselves with him. Because 8,000 could turn into 20. We don't know.
Especially on Belmont weekend, who knows what happens.
This might be something, it's new, right? So it might attract.
New for us, at least, yeah.
Yeah.
Paul?
I would agree with everything everybody else has said. I think we need some kind of plan in place.
Okay. So that'll be our feedback. And again, Rebecca, it's up to you how you want to handle it in terms of the way the code reads. It eventually comes back to us if it does get pursued. But there are some thoughts or ideas that may help you out with respect to next steps on that and legalities related to it. So there you are. Anybody else have any new business they want to throw out there?
Sarasota Fairgrounds. His website calls it the Sarasota Fairgrounds.
Oh, the Sarasota Fairgrounds.
We've got nothing to worry
Well, Florida. Okay.
No, I have other folks.
You have other, okay, got it. Where are we? Public comment on any issue, 3 minutes. I'm shocked. Shocked, Liz. Ellie, I might sit with you for this.
Liz Cormos, 89.
Okay, fine.
89 Hyde. You forgot to mention a $250,000 grant. I mean, that's coming in and really should have been part. I think you could have taken 10 off the sidewalks, and I don't think you're going to spend that kind of money. Anyways, what I actually came up here to talk about is spoil. I submitted in the last month 6 foils. The first 2 were timely, were fulfilled. It was asking for copies of the community committee interest forms because that was a topic of discussion here. And the second thing I asked for was a financial disclosure form to see, what people were inputting. And the one I got for Mayor Rossi was from 2023. They're supposed to be done, every year. So just so you know, that needs to be enforced, what's in the code. The other 3, I wouldn't have to ask for if this administration was open and shared the reports that the taxpayers have paid for with the public, such as, the comments made from planning and zoning about the zoning code. I'm going to submit some comments, but I don't know what they said, and that would be useful to see their viewpoint before, putting my comments together. I'd like to see the Nolan study because it seems strange to me that the village would be doing a structural report on a private property. And then last, I wanted to see the DPW report. Well, we've heard what, mayor's comments on it, but I'd like to see the actual report to see what they said. What was, said it's too expensive. Well, I like the details, thank you. So if those reports were just put out on the web, I wouldn't have to ask to put in these foils. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that Marilyn? Let's see. Yep, go ahead. Sorry. It's kind of funny to see Paul hovering over speakers in the way that we've got pushing right now.
Marilyn Stevenson, 45 West High Street. I just wanted to let everybody know, Ballston Spa House and Garden Club pre-order plant sale. The deadline is Thursday, May 14th. Not what I said previously. We will be having geraniums, many different colors, wave petunias, and herbs, and proceeds from the sale go towards our youth programming and supporting the public gardens that we are in charge of. I wanted to mention the auditorium.
The carnival you're talking?
Regarding this carnival, there has been quite a bit of stuff on social media about it, but I would ask the board, does something like this, purportedly, when they tell people come as you are and give you a range of different costumes to wear or not, does it somehow impact on our current adult zoning code or lack of a definable or discernible code? And I only say that because of what is on their website and how some people may, suggestively change the whole tenor of this. It's supposed to be a free entrance. The vendors are apparently paying for whatever expenses this promoter has. And it's supposed to be adult-friendly and child-friendly. So that's just one thing I will comment on. And I just want to congratulate Trustee Bernadette for her courage, speaking up about possibly looking for consensus about reducing the budget by $10,000. It's not a lot. It could have been done. I want to congratulate you on showing leadership because I think that's important. The taxpayers appreciate that, and I'm sure others will second all of that. We do appreciate all of you being actively involved in all these activities, not just, one trustee or 2 trustees. I think it's important to thank you for your courage. Thank you.
Next. Yeah.
Gina Morosi, 10 Old Glory Lane. Just so everybody knows, May 2nd is coming, and I don't know if you know what date that means, but it's the mayor's 50th birthday. So I wish you all the foils, good wishes. And I hope everybody wishes you a happy birthday. Hope you have a great day. Second bit of good news, Family Fun Day. It's coming, August 16th, Saratoga County Fairgrounds. We're expecting 100,000 people.
Minus 90,000.
So I want to know what I have to do. Chief, you got any advice? Okay.
This way.
Fireworks again this year. And we're reimagining it. Yet again, it's always a work in progress. We're thinking about starting Family Fun Day later, running it right through dinner time into the fireworks. So there will be no band this year. It will be Family Fun Day to dark to fireworks. So hopefully that works out better for people and they'll hang around and watch the fireworks at the fairgrounds. Kevin, mark that on your calendar, please. Thank you. And that's about it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? I see you laughing at the 50 thing back there. Don't, youngster, okay? Anybody on Zoom? I don't see anybody. Let's go to other business, including response to public comment. Paul.
Don't have any other comments. I did have a question about where we sit on the ethics board's appointments.
Sure.
Since we passed that local law.
I was hoping to get Bernadette to sit in with me as kind of the trustee to sit in on them and probably stay consistent with the same person through all the interviews. But I know the budget situation has not helped your life one bit. Yeah, seriously.
I mean, this can talk on scheduling wise.
But we're going to hopefully attack it in the next 10 days to 2 weeks to get those scheduled and done so that we can make that next set of motions for that and get the ethics board reconstituted, populated, however you want to look at it. But we had some great applications come through, and we'll see where we land with respect to those over the next couple of weeks. Sound good?
Yep, thanks for the update.
No problem. Charlene.
Nothing today.
Mary.
I'm good.
Bernadette.
So I just briefly, some folks have been reaching out to me with some code enforcement complaints. Usually there's certain ones that have been pretty, there's a pattern that they're not being enforced, but wanted to let folks know that our buildings department, Bob Kavanaugh, Bill Lewis, and
David Fountain.
David Fountain,
Yep.
yeah, they received the initial ones. I received correspondence from Bob, sorry. And then
Kathy Barnard.
Kathy, I know her son, and then my brain's just out the window today. But communication has been made with those property owners last week. I've seen some correspondence about some of these property owners. How can I better have my tenants also, follow the code? But they are, buildings will be following up with those particular sites, those particular properties again on, actually, I think Friday. So, it raises the question, this is what I mentioned earlier, the zoning. But, if folks do have concerns, certainly please reach out to our building department. But if there's, people don't feel comfortable, I understand that sometimes it's hard to raise complaints against neighbors and stuff. I'm happy as a trustee, I'm sure anybody else is, to also receive that information and just follow up with our building department. They certainly do want to, get those things in compliance. However, it's just an emphasis from that department saying that we really take a close look at how we can strengthen enforcement of our code and our community and such. That's all I got.
Thank you. And finally for me, board 49 and holding, Gina. 49 and holding. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. We do have executive session for litigation update from our counsel, and as such, we will probably not have any action taken after executive session, for those wondering. So can I get a motion to go into executive session?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Price-Bush, Trustee Fondenza on the second, I believe that was. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Paul, go ahead and log off there, and I will call you if you want.
Okay.
Everybody can turn their microphone off. They haven't already. Did it die? We are back from executive session here at 8:59 p.m. And so I will ask, can I get a motion that the vouchers be audited and the meeting be adjourned at 8:59 p.m.?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Dubuque.
I'll second.
Trustee Price-Bush, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. See everybody for a special meeting next week and then a regular meeting the week after on May 11th.
Yeah.